Today's goal is to get this transmission over to this motor. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. We do have quite a bit to take care of today. If you've been following along, you'll know that we are pretty close. The transmission is now out of the box. We gotta get it onto the motor. First things first with this thing today, we gotta blow it off with some air. It has a lot of the foam and stuff like that from the box on it, so gotta get that stuff off of there, and then we can begin the task of getting it over and mounted. Alrighty. Oh, that's tight. Okay. All right. Next up, need to get these 3 studs out of the transmission because we have a Torque Solutions mount going on, and those thread into the transmission. So, gotta get these out of here next. I was gonna use the 2-bolt method, as we've done with everything on this car, basically, but I didn't have the right size bolts, and I went to the hardware store and I grabbed the wrong size there too. So we're using vice grips and it's getting it out. It just takes a second. So this is a little bit longer of a process than it should be, but I'm not going back to the hardware store. So here we are. Now, do keep in mind, these vice grips are completely destroying the studs. So I'm not using these, so I don't really care, but I wouldn't do this if I were you and trying to keep your studs. Because it definitely chews them up. Almost there. That one was in there, I'll tell you that. There we go. Nope. Almost. There we go. Okay, got those studs out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and mount on the new Torque Solutions mount. I'm not gonna button it down all the way and like tighten it down. Just in case whenever we're putting the thing back into the engine bay, I need to like take it off or whatever for fitment and help things align in the bay properly. So we'll just stick it on there for now, but as soon as I can open up this bag, we'll be all right. Good grief. Yeah. Oh, what am I doing? Hang on. We've got titanium for this. Now, moving on, we need to remove the throwout bearing. This is the old throwout bearing. They said they put the old one back on there so it wasn't like rattling around in the box or whatever. So I'm gonna get this shaft out of here, springs, clutch fork's gotta come off, and we'll get the throwout bearing off of there. We'll grease the shaft, grease the throwout bearing, all that kind of good stuff, and then we should be good to go. Yeah, getting this thing apart here, that little rod was in there pretty good, so ended up having to get a little mallet and tapping it out a little bit to get it started, and we got the rest of the way out of there. I was able to do that and then get the clutch fork out, springs, all that kind of stuff. We decided to use the grease we had here from the motocross stuff. I checked the technical sheets and it basically had the same ingredients as a lot of the other greases I've seen people using, so we decided to go ahead and use that. Got everything greased up, throwout bearing, clutch fork ears, all that kind of stuff, and started putting everything back together. We went ahead and painted the end of the clutch fork there as well, so the part that's sticking out looks a lot more fresh, a lot more clean, and yeah, got the springs back in there all properly, and it went back together pretty smoothly. Alright, got everything swapped out there, everything is lubed, greased, all that good stuff. This thing works nicely, nice and smooth with all the grease in there, springs are on properly, so yeah, that is good to go. One thing I noticed while I was doing this, this has a broken off bolt in it. What? I don't know, I gotta see if I have some bits that are that small to even do this, but yeah. I think I have a small enough bit, so we're gonna give this a whirl. I'm gonna tap this little guy, see if I can get a little hole in the middle. That looks like it's in the middle. As close as I can get anyway, so let's give it a whirl. Oh shit, I think this drill bit is grabbing it and it's pushing it out. So I may be able to just like thread this thing straight through. There's not enough on the back side to grab a hold of. Well, let's get the shavings out of there. Oh, it's grabbing it again. Keep pushing it. Maybe if I can't get it to come out this side, I can tap into this side and we can get it out of there that way, but I'm trying to avoid, you know, destroying these threads because I don't have a tap and die, so I'd have to go probably order one or find one. We bit into it pretty good now. We're pushing it right out the backside. There it is. And that was dead center on the bolt there, so pretty certain we didn't mess up any threads, so whew, awesome. I'm gonna put a bolt through here and just chase them just to be sure, but that worked out fantastic. All right, found an old crappy bolt here. Let's see if these threads are in good shape. I sure hope they are. Oh yeah, that's threading straight in. We didn't mess up a thing. Whew, that had me stressing, but that is good news. Now we can move on and put this transmission onto the motor? I think so. One thing I do have to do is figure out how to keep this whole assembly here from rolling, because we're on that cart with the wheels, obviously, so we might run into an issue with that, but maybe I can jam something behind the wheels and it wouldn't roll, but I'll figure that out. First, sorry for the heater over there, it's kind of running, you might hear that in the background, but I think what we need to do with this is I need to jack this up with the hoist just a little bit to where we can have some space to get the transmission under it here. We're a little close right now, but then I'm gonna try to put my other jack on this cart. I'm gonna put a piece of wood under it and we can jack it up and get it level. And then I think we should be able to just kind of slide this thing right over onto there, which that would be best case scenario. Little did I know that this process was going to be as hard as it was going to turn out to be, but this was the start of it here. We had it kind of aligned pretty good here. I think this would have worked if I could have kept this cart from rolling, but as you can see there, just the slightest little bump and everything rolls. I'm not sure what I was doing with that piece of wood there. After looking at it here, it's the engine hoist moves as well, so I'm not sure what I was thinking with that, thinking I had it locked in there, but obviously that didn't work out too well. I have been wrestling with this transmission for like 45 minutes. It can't be this hard to get this thing on here. I've been so close, it got into a bind, whatever, so I pulled it the rest of the way off. So I don't know, I'm taking a break. I'm gonna come back at this in a little while and see if I can get it in with a fresh head, because right now I am a little bit aggravated. Came back out, and obviously it was not with a clear head, because as you can see I put another board in there because, you know, when one doesn't work, why not put two? And as you can see there, I mean, the engine hoist is moving, so I'm not sure what I was thinking there. Obviously I was in a fog or something, because that's not very smart. Guys, I don't know, this thing has beat my ass and I just cannot get it to go on. I can get it towards like, just there's like a little bit, like the dowels on the block are touching the holes on the transmission. I just cannot get it to go on that last like quarter of an inch. I don't know what it is. I've got the alignment tool. It goes in there. I mean, everything seems to be aligned. I don't know what, I mean, I get it. I'm a newbie and this is the first time I'm doing this, but like, I feel like it shouldn't be that hard. So I don't know. I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm gonna admit defeat for today. I found myself in this position quite a bit over the next like day or so, 2 days actually. I had to take a day there, but I'll explain that in a second. But I was at a loss. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Couldn't figure out why it wasn't going that last little bit onto there so it would sit flushly against the block. I was just at a loss for what to do and what to try. And so, yeah, I found myself laying here pondering everything several times, but we ended up figuring some things out. So I'll go ahead and explain that. Okay, so first off, I want to apologize for not showing the process of getting this transmission onto the engine, but this was probably the hardest thing I've had to do the entire time of doing this project in this car. It was just trying to maneuver it and all this other kind of stuff. It was a very difficult process for me. I've seen guys do it. They just pop it on there and it goes right on, but I could not get the dowel pins to like go in their holes. They would get there and they would touch, but I just could not get it to align and like get in there. I was trying everything. I was taking it on and off and all this other kind of stuff, and was beating the crap out of the monolock collar and scratching it all up and all that. But finally, I was just like, I came out here to tinker on it, and I was just like, I'm gonna try it one more time. I've been hours. I was working on this, and I was like, I'm gonna give it one more go. And after that, I'm not sure what I need to do. I'm gonna have to call someone to come in and help me or something. I'm not sure, but came out here. I contacted my friend who used to own what I consider one of the best shops in the nation for Evos and other performance cars and things like that. And I was able to like hash out some things. He told me some things to look out for, what to do and all that kind of stuff. And so following his information and all that, we were able to get it on there. And I I got it on there and I was like, I feel like I should celebrate something. I'm not really sure, but yeah, ended up getting it on there. This was a pain. It took me like 2.5 days to like working on it to try to get it on there. In that process, the transmission fell out of the collar one time and it fell down and like onto the cart, but my finger got caught between the transmission and the engine hoist and it smashed it in there. So that was super fun. Had to wait a day for that just to get some like range of motion and some like gripping back into my hand because that sucked. Yeah, overall it was just a really, really tough process for me. I'm not sure why, but yeah, we finally got all the bolts in there. It's flush against the block. It's all good to go. I sent him some photos to look at it and see if I had it on there properly and all that. And he's like, if you got it that far, it's on there. And so I feel like we're good to go. So it's on there, so let's move forward. This was, like I said, this was such a pain to try to get it on there, but we got everything on the carts now. I swapped back out the engine mount for this thing so I can mount this chain to it. I didn't want to go pulling on the new one, but yeah, we'll switch that out later once it's like up into the bay. But everything is flush and mounted onto there, so we can start putting some things back onto here. We'll do some things on the motor. My oil filter housing finally showed up. We'll get that on there. Alternator, lower timing cover, some sensors there on the transmission and stuff, and we should be good to go. All right, first up, we'll do the alternator. Get this thing on here and threaded. Now let's hang it real quick and we go grab. So we need to, with this kit that I got, hang on one sec. With this adjustable arm that we got to thread this end into the alternator, and then this end, this bolt right here, takes the place of this bolt right here in the water pump. So we need to take that out, and that will run straight through here. So let's go ahead and we'll remove this fellow, and we can run this guy right into there, just like that. Now we have the pivot point, and we can pick this up, run this just like that. All right, so now if we need to adjust the alternator or the tension on the belt, all we gotta do is rotate this little guy right here, and we can bring it forward and back however we need to do it. Which is pretty cool, and that solves the issue that we were having with our bracket and whatnot that goes right here. We couldn't get that to fit on there because of this thing, and the Myvac line was just kind of in the way. So we'll see how this solution works. I think it'll be great, and we can't forget to snug down these nuts right here once we get it where we want it. Once we get our tension right, we need to snug these nuts up against this little bar here. That way it can't like come loose or whatever. So yeah, we'll figure that out once we get the belt on. All right, staying in this region, the oil filter housing finally has showed back up after being vapor honed, been shipped all over the place. Finally found a place that would clean it inside and out. And yeah, it looks brand new. Oh, finally, tape's coming off of this thing. Yeehaw. Gasket on here. Actually, let me wipe this down with some brake cleaner first. Just a quick little wipey. Make sure it's all nice and clean. All right, now we'll let that dry for a minute and pop this thing on. Zoink. Get out the titanium hardware. Snugged tight. Let's check the torque specs and we'll get this thing locked. Hello. Oil filter housing, where are you? All right, we're looking at 19 Newton meters here. Go just before that. You don't want to, it says plus or minus 3, but we'll do that. Boom. Now we got lower timing cover. So let's pop this puppy on here. Let's see, up, there we go. That slid her in place. This one goes here. Every one of these bolts has a specific place, and so I have them laid out next to me as to where they go, but this one's a little bit longer. That last one had a pretty big washer on it. So let me tighten all these down. We'll figure out the torque specs on those on our little booklet, and that'll be that, which is wild to look at. So some of these are 11 plus or minus 1 and 9 plus or minus 1. So I'm gonna meet him in the middle and just do 10. Now we can finally throw on our new water pump pulley and hardware. Right here. Doink. Alrighty. Okay, now we have a brand new, we're gonna move on to the transmission, our speedo sensor. We got a brand new one of these, gotta assemble it all together. This part is right here, comes with a little ring there, but we'll put this together and then we'll put it onto the transmission. I really thought there was gonna be a little bit more to this, but you really just put that gear into the sensor there and then put that clip in, and it's very straightforward. Right, so got this thing put together. It really just, quite simple. You just click this thing in, that little ring it comes with just kind of pops in. It doesn't have to like twist in anywhere, but it just, it follows a groove that's on the sensor itself. And so I feel like, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it's kind of hard to mess it up. So I'm gonna call that installed and we'll pop this thing in the transmission here. We got, it's not OEM, but we got brand new hardware here. Trying to keep from losing this washer down this hole. I probably should have taken this off before I took the cap off, but whatever. I'm gonna maybe get some silicone real quick to put on this O-ring. Doink. Went ahead and refreshed the harness that goes to that speed sensor. I wasn't gonna, but trying to mount this bracket right here, it gets really, really close to that speed sensor, and I didn't want to wrestle with trying to put that little pin right there into this little clip with all that super close. So before I put this on, I decided to go ahead and freshen this up a little bit, and pretty happy with how it turned out. Got that on there, so now let's mount this thing right here, freshly powder coated to help protect it against any more of that poopy corrosion. Now we'll lock that down. Manual said 52 millimeters, or millimeters, 52 foot-pounds, plus or minus 7. So I'm gonna do like 54, 55, and call that good. Boom. And now the beautiful, but you'll never see it, when has that ever stopped us before, burnt bronze bracket that goes right here. This one goes to the same foot-pounds. It actually said this one on the foot-pounds in the manual, and it didn't really show anything for this black bracket that we put on, but I just assumed they're the same size bolts and everything, so I assumed they all are 52 to 50, whatever it is, plus or minus 7. So, click, and clack. Well, with all of that put on there, I think we're at a good stopping point with everything I had laid out here for all the parts and everything. This one almost burnt me. This was this was tough. Again, I apologize for the quick cut for the transmission, but it was a mess. And so, like I said, got everything we had in the pile there to go on. And so next up, we'll get the AC unit and all that stuff cleaned up and put it on here, and then we should be able to jack this thing up and roll this whole thing right under into the engine bay, hopefully. It has to go up another, I think I measured it was like 5 or 6 inches, so just got to get it up a little bit higher and roll this all under there. And that will be the first time the motor has been in the car in a very long time. And so after that, we'll work on the subframe, getting all that stuff put on there, all the new stuff for that, power steering, all that kind of jazz, steering rack, and yeah, moving on. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it very much. As always, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Bye.